Do you think she's ban-worthy? We've seen her played a fair amount.
It's possible. I'm still not a full believer in the Lilia just yet.
Okay.
I know she's a very good champion, but a little bit outside the wheelhouse of what a lot of our European teams like to play. When Trick's been on set duty the majority of the season, Gilius likes to play these early game aggressive type champions. Lilia is a very different style, more in the vein of a farming jungler.
And then you can see the Akali, the Shin, exactly as you talked about, already banned away, followed up by Caitlyn and by Thresh.
Yeah, and if SK are banning away the comfort picks, Rabadage and Odwamne, you better believe Schalke are going to be banning out Crown Shot in the bot lane. I think taking away the Caitlyn really opens up options for you down in the 2 versus 2 to be able to actually win down there, because if SK are able to get Crown Shot through the laning phase and into a comfortable position, he can definitely carry in the team fight.
And stylistically, Crown Shot and Neon are quite different in sort of the expectations from their team as well as their play styles. You know, you look at Neon's champions, he's 6 Ezreals, 3 Ashes, 3 Sennas, vice versa. It's a lot of carries for Crown Shot, you know. Some of the more memorable performances on his Aphelios. I loved his Twitch, and there you go, first pick Lilia. So not ban-worthy, but priority, that's a big signal.
Yeah, SK definitely fans of the Lilia. They've had 2 weeks to now practice a lot of these champions, even though Lilia wasn't able last week or on week 8, I do believe. Teams have taken a little bit longer to open up to her here in Europe, as always. So now Trick, he wants to get through the early jungle. Lilia doesn't have a lot of great early game gank opportunities. She doesn't pack that CC really until level 6, so she's much more about clearing through her jungle or using the mobility in her kit to burn through that very nicely.
So playing the control game, whether or not Trick's going to be able to get control of Gilius is going to be an interesting question, but the last time Schalke lost was to SK. That was the last defeat before the win streak that got them into playoffs. I like the hover here. Gilius on the Lee Sin has been exceptional. He's going to swap over to the Hecarim.
All right. Hecarim was one of the big winners on patch 10.16. I think he shot up 3% win rate in high elo solo queue there, but got some buffs to his E, which give him more movement speed on the ability, which of course, because of his passive, translates into more damage. So the champion can be a terror. And when you see Lilia, who is also trying to farm up to a level 6 point, Hecarim very much is going to fit that bill and look to run you down later.
Yes. What? Hecarim. Jinx.
What?
Jinx. Okay. Okay, so Draco said something on the analyst test that really sticks with me, that you don't want to see Crown Shot on those supportive type champions. Well, there are very few champions that are as carry-oriented as an excited Jinx. And now with the Ziggs as well, push, push, push. Control,
this is
control.
wild. I mean, they're trying to destroy towers, I guess, with a Ziggs and a Jinx here. But yeah, you can definitely get some lane power. I think Jinx is also one of the few AD carries that can try to go toe-to-toe with Senna's range later on into the game, thanks to those rockets. So SK right now have the ability to try and, you know, push in mid lane, especially depending on what that matchup does go for. And I feel like if you give this comp a Baron buff, it's going to be really hard to deal with the siege.
Now, when you look at these champions and combinations, though, a fair amount of time is kind of what you want to farm a lot, you want to build up.
Yeah.
Now, do you see any early pressure right now, or things to be concerned about?
Yeah, I mean, right now with Senna Nautilus in the bot side, depending on what Limit goes for as his support, you can definitely look to like make plays around that lane. With Thresh banned away, that's one really good defensive option that is now gone for the Jinx in the bottom lane, because in order to access her mobility, again, she needs to get resets on kills or towers, so will be a little bit difficult to get away from those types of plays, especially when a Hecarim hits level 6. Fighting around that dragon could be a really big deal for Schalke.
And we'll see whether or not SK maintain control of dragon is something they've been exceptionally good at throughout the course of the summer season. And as we get into phase 2, there's Abadage's Zoe that's been banned away, Gangplank as well as Scion. What do you want to see from these top laners now, as we've already got some, you know, laning options secured? Odo's definitely showed a lot more versatility throughout the second half of Summer Split.
Yeah, well, I think Odo really has a ton of different options he can go if he wants to play, you know, a more carry-oriented style, because you already have the Nautilus. I think usually with Hecarims, we're going to see a Trinity Force, but then more tank builds. In solo queue, maybe you see the Ignite and you see a Warrior Enchant and Youmu's, but I doubt that's what we're going to see from Gilius in this one, although he has been on a tear. So I think Odo has been fleed up to try and get counterpick now. By taking the Orianna, it now gives him the ability to go throw it down in Gen X.
I love that as well, because when you see a Lilia, Jinx, Ziggs, right? This is the first time that we've obviously seen Lilia. We've seen Ziggs before. Zazie actually played that in week 4. It was a loss. And the last time that we saw Jinx was Summer 2019 Regionals. So I like the fact that you've got some safety here. Safety on the Nautilus, safety on the Orianna. The Morgana will complete that bottom lane duo. Limit will be piloting that.
They need a front line for Gen X now. Like, they actually just need a tank up in the top side. I think, like, Ornn is up potentially for them, but...
That'll be initiation as well.
Like, right now, you need initiation. You need someone that can soak up damage.
Well, let's see what they're going to go with for the time being. In the last few seconds, Volibear locked in. So assume that's going to be Volibear top, because I don't think you'd really want to run the Lilia top.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Lilia top a little bit, but it's probably going to be Lilia in the jungle for Trick. That would be my expectation now. So Gen X, I figure with the Volibear, you get an option that can do well in a lot of lane matchups. You know, early laning phase, he can trade very nicely if he gets repeat procs of his W. Although it has been a little while since we have seen him up top side. It's been a jungle staple in the LEC for the last few weeks, one that Trick's gone to, I know for sure.
Just a very quick stat for you. The one top lane Volibear performance Gen X has had was a win, and he finished it with a 15 KDA.
Oh my.
So statistics are anything to go by.
Oh, I remember that game. Yeah, he was popping off.
Yes, he was. Okay, let's zoom out. What do you see from the two team compositions and how you want to see them played out?
I mean, right now, Schalke have sort of committed into the dive camp. I think the Renekton might struggle with target acquisition later on into the game, because right now they have 3 melee champions. The Hecarim, it's all about trying to dive a lot of these ranged backliners, because right now SK working with 4 ranged champions, and it's just the Volibear to try and protect them. I think SK, it's looking to push early. They have strong early lanes that they don't necessarily play around, because Lilia, again, is not about the ganks, but rather to set her up for early crabs, potential invades on the Raptors, the Krug camp.
And a bit more versatility on the Schalke side. For the first Lilia in the LEC, it is amazing to me that it's on the opposite side of Schalke. And why is that? Because Lilia 7-0 in the LCK. And much like Schalke shutting down Ashe, let's see if they can shut down Lilia today. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else to the very first game of the summer season playoffs. Trick, Limit, Gen X, SK Gaming, the 5th seed, taking on Schalke, the 6th seed. The loser is eliminated from playoffs and eliminated from Worlds contention. And already some shenanigans afoot here as SK started to push forward. They've put their ward inside the jungle. I think this is somewhat expected. You were talking about how Trick on Lilia likes to farm, wants to play that control game.
Exactly, and one thing we saw very early, I think it was over in the LCK in one of the first games that Lily got played, she went for the early invade on enemy Raptors and Krugs. Of course, with her Q, she can blitz through those AoE camps very, very easily, and if she maintains stacks for passive, she can just run through her jungle at super speeds, but this is different. SK still have their duo lane up here, Trevor. It's a minute 22nd, it's a lane swap.
Okay, we do not see a lot of lane swaps, and we definitely don't see it with this composition. Why would they be doing this?
Okay, so honestly, I'm a little surprised, to be perfectly honest here. Gilius was trying to walk in for a late invade, I think trying to counter a potential Raptor camp up there, but SK, right, you have a pushing lane, you have a Jinx who can shred through towers potentially a little bit later on, and by now double jungling, like Trick is off to a very fast start, so I think, again, it's going to be all about getting Trick to an early advantage here inside the jungle. They could maybe duo invade, because it's just now that Schalke are figuring this out, and I mean, looking around at some of the other options SK have gone for, it's actually kind of genius, because look, you have a Cole start on Jinx, because she knows she's not playing in the 2 versus 2 lane, so you can get bonus gold even if the turret in top lane is a little bit harder to kill early in the stages because of the the bolstering of the tower pre 5 minutes, I do believe.
Yes.
You can get bonus gold by cashing in the Cole, and Gen X is rocking the Aftershock, which is going to be really good at protecting against a dive later. Now Trick is level 3 here. Okay,
a lot of damage into Gilius already. Dreams has already roamed up though. The smite goes back and forth, and Schalke, they actually get a bit of an advantage. A dredge line will connect onto Trick, and nothing follows up. Bouncing bomb won't land any damage. SK are going to be slowed down significantly.
Well, this is really weird for SK now, because so Trick had the option, because you have a dual lane topside and you see Odwamne running bot, they could have just traded sides of the map, and gone for all the camps in Gilius' topside jungle. Instead, they're now walking to bot lane where Dreams is setting up a trap and Gilius is behind them, so they could actually zone them away from the tower because Odwamne walked all the way down here, and the Aftershock to prevent against a dive isn't going to mean anything if you don't actually get underneath the turret, so all the CS is still being denied.
And we need to track what impact this will have in the global state of the game. Crown Shot and Limit will be able to clear out that wave. They're going to get themselves the first plate. While that's happening, Gen X and Odo haven't even touched a minion yet. Both of them sitting at 0. There's a potential engage as Neon's going to step forward, a lot of support. But look, Trick and Genax still being zoned away and forced. Turret plate dropping bottom.
I really feel like SK dropped the ball on this one. I mean, Genax can't get near the tower. And at the same time, like, yes, Schalke aren't picking up any CS on the top side, so that's not the biggest deal. The big difference isn't between the top laners, it's between the junglers now, because Trick, who had a level advantage and could have taken the enemy top side, now cannot do that. And he's pinging it out that they want to move up there. They've now recalled Genax as well to make that push forward, so I think they'll get there in the end. But Gilius, if he continues to play around bot side, those camps are going to be cycling up, respawning sooner, so he can actually reach level 6 faster because of how the early game has gone for him and his team.
Okay, so just zoom out for a second and explain it to me in simple terms here. SK electing to challenge on their jungle is the root cause of this.
Yeah, so the problem and the reason why it did not work for SK is because Dreams can get to the Raptor camp faster than Limit could. Limit had tried to walk all the way down, but now Schalke have good defensive vision, and they're setting up the collapse here on towards Trick.
Oh man, Trick's in trouble. We'll get caught up with the dissonance in the attack. Gilius holds on to the charge while that's going on. They are diving bot. That's 3 versus 1. And that will be first blood picked up by Neon. Flawless. They get themselves another plate, and the red buff is just about secured here by SK.
Yeah, so Genax will be able to teleport back, so this death isn't the end of the world, because if you remember back to old lane swap days, it's like how much CS can you salvage while only dying once or twice was generally the premise around, you know, success for the laning phase, and he says, level up over Odoamne, it's huge. No. This is honestly what it was like. It's level 2 top laners to level 4 bot laners. Like, what's going on?
I personally am fond that the lane swap meta did not persist throughout the years of League of Legends, though there was a beauty to it.
Yes, I do love seeing it in moments like this where the teams aren't fully practiced, although from watching how Crown Shot controlled the wave from level 1 to build up, you know, 3 minion waves stacking on top of each other before crashing into the tower was really, really nice. And past 5 minutes now, you can see it's 3 plates to 3 plates. So it did go even overall in that distribution. And as I was talking about a little bit earlier, Gilius did repeat invade for the enemy Raptor camp, which is again really big because that's going to respawn at level 4. Actually, in a game like this where, because jungle camps spawn at the average level of the game, because top laners are so low level, it might be a little bit wacky, but it's going to be a big pickup for him.
The one thing I do want to point out, though, is that 10 CS advantage for Crown Shot. He's running the Flash TP and 50 stacks on Cole remaining. A Jinx that could get excited, get that passive proc, could become a Terror in the later stages of the game, and I need to see how SK can try to activate him. You said something during drop dinner that just really stuck with me, that 4 ranged and 1 melee, and Volibear is not the greatest, you know, tank, shall we say, in that regard, in terms of like providing peel, etc. So I really want to see how SK are going to play this out. We talked about their pushing lanes, if Trick can get some control back. And now we've normalized it. We'll see how the next few minutes play out.
And check this out, too, because SK have set up the freeze in the bottom lane with Lilia pathing down there. So really good trade from Dreams, actually. And now by calling Gilius into the bottom lane, they should be able to break this one, no problem.
The root's not going to be able to land. But look at that, devastating charge into the Rampage. The return damage in Gilius is very high, though. But Limit, no sums, means he's going to be a juicy target.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough to deal with, especially if you can burn Black Shield easily. You can see there the early itemization from Gilius, too. It's not going into a jungle item first. It's good. It'll be a Trinity Force, so it was Sheen on the first purchase, which gives him a lot of upfront damage with that E, especially after the buffs, which increase movement speed, which increase damage on top of that, which can mean a whole lot. I do believe when I was checking out the EXP between the 2 junglers, Trick is slightly on the edge here because Gilius didn't fully commit to invading the Krug camp on Trick's side as well there, but relatively close when all is said and done. I think the big difference is going to be the AD carries, because while Crown Shot was top lane, you know, free farming, Neon was, you know, working on setting up the dive and whatnot. Honestly, he fell really far behind overall in CS.
Yeah, he really did. 25 difference right now, 30 stacks until that Cull procs. Crown Shot will take some damage. The Black Shield helps out. So here comes Genax. He waddles in and waddles out. Not the most threatening with a huge amount of CC, but Trick not yet having access to that lifting lullaby.
You know, I wasn't paying super close attention to who was picking up CS for Schalke's side in the bottom lane, because Odoamne did come down there, and I do know he has a CS lead for now. So I wonder if they were like, wait, we can just do a mini fasting Senna for like 2 or 3 minutes here while Odoamne's in the bottom side and shovel him some extra gold. So yeah, 700 gold lead there, and Neon not going to be too far behind at all.
Now, what do you think about SK's sort of decision-making? We're 8 minutes in, it's a 500 gold lead to Schalke, right? SK initiate the lane swap. They commit to a play. And it surprised both of us. The draft surprised both of us. And all expectations for the series was that SK are somewhat the underdogs. You know, they come into this game, Schalke have all the momentum, look to be in form, and you know, do you like it? Do you dislike it? What signals is it sending?
So I think the lane swap itself is really interesting, and I like the theory behind it, especially with the setups that they went for. Now, where I'm not quite sure if SK played it perfectly was when they committed sending Trick and Genax into the bottom lane, because they got zoned away for so long. And you know, in lane swap era, you would see 4-4-0, 4-1-0 for a long time, which basically commit 4 people into the top side, and that was going to be really nice for you to blast down turrets quickly. But I don't feel like SK got as much as they would have liked.
The thing is, we're still seeing from SK the standard staple of their playstyle. Despite the crazy picks, despite the crazy starts of the game, they still get an uncontested first rake. And for SK as a team, they truly have fantastic dragon control. 2/3 of the games, they get the first dragon. They've got the highest soul percentage. And you know, the cost of that is obviously going to be your goal difference.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that a lot of this comes through how Trick likes to play as a jungler, because I don't think he's the type of jungler that's constantly spamming ganks on lanes, and especially on a champion like Lilia, that's not really your memo. That's not what you're going for. A lot of the time, he'll be on a set or something, he'll just go for those early dragons, and I think by drafting the Jinx and the Morgana, who are now in the bot lane, that's a powerful 2 versus 2 that can push very easily. It sets up for a Drake that Schalke are just going to handle.
And for the rest of the series, it's important for the viewers at home to keep track of this. We're obviously going to be looking for this playstyle, going to look to see can SK be successful with it. The status quo for focusing on pushing this, that style worked out. And we saw the damage, by the way. Neon got caught by a Dark Binding. Crown Shot just chunked him out. Cleanse forced for Neon to run away.
Yeah, and when you look at the play styles of these teams, now how SK love to focus around these early dragons, Schalke are almost the complete polar opposite. Yeah. They could care less about those first 2 Drakes. This team doesn't take, you know, Dragon Souls to close out games. You know, Gilius is going to be much more focused on finding kills, finding plays around their lanes. And one of the things that does make Schalke so good is that they're very flexible in which lanes they can play towards. We've seen the Abadage pop-off performances. We've seen Gilius hard camp top lane, hard camp bot lane. They can mix it up, and right now they're eyeing Genax in the top.
And it's also interesting when you see Schalke on their winning streak, how they've been able to snowball early advantages, how they've been able to come back from 15-minute deficits. And the analyst has talked about it as well. That versatility is helping them, and is why they are somewhat favored this series. There's a dive here into Genax. A lot of damage coming out from Super Mega Death Rockets.
Oh, here
and Oda's going to run away. Here comes Abadage. Shockwave refused, and the Rockwave went in. I thought Genax was definitely going down, but he managed to outplay that one. And all kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, again, he has the Aftershock. Yes. It makes it so easy to survive these dives. It is not the laning rune. Like, I see Volibears walk into this matchup with a press the attack, and they're going to do a little bit better than they would with an Aftershock here for those trades. But when you're in a 1v3 situation, that's going to give you time to survive. Zazie, of course, has the ultimate he can chuck in for wave clear too, and that'll cost a flash on Odo.
Now take a look.
And bot lane, they just flashed down there too.
Oh, here comes the Swell Seed. We'll be able to apply the Drowsy. Here comes Trick. Will we get up first? Lifting Lullaby. Dreams is going to put some damage down. Trick continues to swing.
Here comes Gilius.
But the Railgun comes out. Neon gets the kill. There's no ultimate available used in the top dive, but the counter attack from Schalke gets 2.
Yeah, that's a huge punish coming through right there. And Trick, he lands the sleep. He tries to make the play, but we see the weakness of Lilia right there. Once she gets, like, she's very fast, but she can't dodge key abilities, and she has no defensive tools once she is in the fight. So Schalke are able to pounce on that. Gilius reads it, and Neon finishes them off.
And exactly the case. Gilius reads it. That's something we've seen happen many, many times. And here's that replay.
I mean, this was sort of odd because there's this immediate flash, and here's what the observers are trying to show us. The ball, it rolls all the way down here. I mean, what a shot, to be perfectly honest. You can see Limit held onto his Q for a long time. Limit actually screwed up right there by popping the Q early. I feel like if he waits for the sleep to come through onto Neon, he can maybe, you know, get that around. I think Dreams was probably going to block it anyways, but Crown Shot couldn't quite get in damage range, and Odwamne has the TP to punish.
Well, that long-range seed. Just moments before the series started, our executive producer stepped over and was like, I don't understand, Lilia. Those balls just go everywhere. I don't understand how to play around them. And I quite like the observers.
Here's the secret. They're global.
They are indeed. They roll until they hit something that will make them detonate. But Schalke, 2,000 gold up, 3 kills to 0. Yes, they conceded a Drake. And yes, Crown Shot is fed. with farm. But Neon is fed with kills, and they've got the tower as well. So Schalke sitting very, very pretty, and those pushing lanes become a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, and when you're looking at gold between the two AD carries, even 30 CS down, Neon is still going to have an advantage there off of those kills. And I think that because all the flashes have been burnt down bot side, Trick doesn't have his either, SK should not be looking to contest this Drake. Gilius is going to get a reset off. He might even have enough money for Trinity Force, sitting on 1,400. So I don't think quite he's going to be able to make it there, but will be relatively close. Instead, he's going to go for some Merc Treads on top of a Phage. But yeah, SK can't really do anything after losing their tower down here. And unfortunately for them, there is not a Herald to trade for on the top side of the map.
Now, the one thing I do like about this composition and the fact that there is an Infinity Edge on the crown shots and on Jinx, if they are able to get down, you know, one member of Schalke gets Jinx excited and use that to unlock, but they cannot afford a mistake. You cannot have the miscommunications like we just saw between Limit and Trick, for example, because the margin for error is so easily punished by Schalke's composition.
And the problem with Jinx as a champion is her ramp-up time. It's really, really long. You know, for a long time, I feel like we saw builds with like a Blade of the Ruined King as a first item and try and, you know, curve her into power a little bit smoother, but that gives you a worse 3-item spike when you can't have 75% crit chance and an Infinity Edge. So instead, Crown Shot goes for the first item, IE, and we're really going to have to, you know, hold our breath for a while before he can pick up a couple more items. Where on the other side, Neon, he gets a longsword every base, a serrated Dirk. Like, this champion Senna is so easy to itemize for.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And when you talk about that as well, again, it's very close to the Trinity Force that Blade of the Ruined King was picked up by Odo. I'm keeping track of the levels because obviously the CS difference is there. But both Genax and Odo currently level 9. Neon's going to be able to sidestep the Dark Binding. He, in fact, gets the route onto Limit and is able to hold on to that top tower. And you can see the level progression. Thank you very much for that one, production. Just to keep track of the differences. In fact, Genax just marginally ahead of the XP as the tower goes down. Oh! That's an excited crown shot. Neon maybe forgot about that passive for a moment.
He did.
Able to escape.
He for sure forgot about that.
Super felt that way.
He's like, oh my god, what happened? This guy's sprint. Does he have Ghost or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's just Jinx passive right there. I do love that we brought up the EXP tracker, of course, because one thing that we haven't really touched on is when you have a lane swap, it slows down top laners so much. You can see Crown Shot was even in levels to both tops in the game. That's a teleport behind, though.
It is indeed. Here comes the initiation from Genax. On the bottom lane, Odo has no TP available. That's the dunk. It's so much damage. Dreams is already gone, but the Shockwave takes down Trick. He's not going to be able to get that ultimate off. Limit is now trying to back away. There comes the unstoppable onslaught. Gilius manages to get one with the Rampage. Looking for another devastating charge, and they turn it around 1 for 2.
I mean, how confident are Schalke right there? It's a 4 versus 5. Odoam, they can't TP into the fight. They plant their feet in the ground, and they turn and they fight SK. They come on top of that in the end. 2 for 1 trade and a bot lane turret.
I mean, exceptional play, but you have to I think you have to call out that Schalke's composition here. They complement one another a little bit more in some of those scenarios.
Yeah.
And, you know, Trick not landing the CC, just being blown up instantly, and that's it. No more fights.
Well, let's see what happens again here, because it's a really nice teleport ward. Like, the theory behind it is nice, but Crown Shot was not involved in this play. Like, he was running top lane when his team teleports in. Zazi's also over this wall, so he's actually not in this fight outside of his ultimate. He may as well have been in a completely different lane. So, I mean, Abadage plays really aggressively here. Like, he could have been punished if perhaps SK were in a better position, but then it just means they line up on top of each other for this Hecarim multi to tear on through. And I think Abadage's confidence to sort of move into the backline in that manner is really what helped Schalke turn that around.
And similar call out to earlier during that laning phase engage, where individuals not 100% executing. The fact that Crown Shot, and as you mentioned, Zazi, going different directions to where the rest of the team is going.
Those are their damage dealers too. No one else is carrying.
That's a little bit a little bit of nerves maybe. We'll have to see. Dustblade of Drakthor was picked up by Neon, by the way, in their previous fight. And at 17 minutes, Schalke have just put themselves in a very commanding position. And it feels like they can now dictate the tempo for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to. Because, again, when you're looking at this, like, the one area where I think Schalke are lacking compositionally to SK is when you look at the overall range between the two. Like, that's pretty obvious, right? You have Ziggs, you have, you know, Morgana, Jinx, like, all these champions can hit you from very far away. But Schalke still have dive options. Like, this Hecarim cannot be stopped. So all he has to do is wait for a Black Shield to go down, and then he can go in. Even then, if he finds 3 people lined up, 1 black shield doesn't really matter if you CC the other 2.
And also when you combine that with the onslaught of shadows with a potential, ball delivery system, quote unquote 8-year-old meme, plus the Nautilus engage, not meme, that's not the right word, but like terminology, right? I like the fact that Schalke can play multitudes of situations, whether it's skirmishes, whether it's team fights, whether it's tower dives, and the comp affords them that capability. Now it's 30 seconds till the next dragon. Both thirds have been secured so far, been uncontested. Do you think SK are going to be bold enough to try and challenge?
No, they can't. Gilius has Trinity Force. He's going to hit level 11 very soon as well. This Hecarim is really terrifying. It's so hard to deal
level
with
ahead
that.
of Trick as well.
Yeah, he's level ahead of Trick, and this is going to continue to trickle over as these turrets fall. If you can now deny, Raptor camp away from Trick, or even now Zazie and Crownshot are going to be poaching camps away from Trick because they're not getting the CS they want when the lanes are sort of frozen and can't be broken.
So, seeing as though we're going to call back some old terminology, let's buckle up because we got some wave clear monsters on the side.
True.
On the side of SK. I think if you look at Zazie, you look at Ziggs, as well as even to a degree, Trick with the Q. If given enough time, they'll be able to. The only thing is, if they bunch up the tower dive, can stop that very quickly.
But here's where I'm so baffled by SK's comp. Is this Volibear pick? Because I'm seeing yeah, okay, I guess it can be solid anti-dive, but Neon's going to scoot on out of that one, no problem. Volibear top not offering any real initiations up for you, running this Aftershock. He's building full tank, so it's not any sort of damage. He's going to get bodied in a side lane. This man doesn't stand a chance in the 1v1 versus Renekton, so then what is his... He must be a great team fighter, right? Well, no, that's not the case with a full tank Volibear. He's already fallen off, and because of the lane swap too, he's set further behind, so he's almost been nullified. Him and Odwamne, to an extent as well, because they're only going to be level 11, are not as effective as they should be in this game because of the early lane swap, but because Odwamne will still hold inherent value in the side lane, he can make up for that, whereas Gen X cannot.
I mean, during the draft, you even brought up the idea of an Ornn that was available. Sion was banned. Gen X has played that 3 times, has 2 wins on it. And talking about Gen X, he's 50 CS down. He is still level appropriate. He's managing to charge up. We'll get the flash shot, a crown shot. That's already a victory. Death Rocket will not be able to pick up the kill, and that just means crown shot is now the next target. He cannot afford to play that far forward. 3,500 gold to lead. The Dragon was secured, and this will be the 4th tower as well for Schalke with you.
I'm curious how good Jinx, or how good Crownshot thinks Jinx is now, because the change that happened to Jinx on this latest patch was, it was technically a bug fix, but it was a big buff. The ultimate damage on her rocket was unintentionally being capped against champions. It's now uncapped. And I'm wondering, is that a lane phase thing? Is that a lane swap thing? Here we go, fighting the mid.
Okay, Trick goes in, manages to at least put Dreams to sleep. He goes golden thanks to a stopwatch.
Oh, that's a double teleport.
Here comes Odo, here comes Gilius. They've already got themselves one onto limit. Trick is running for his life. That's going to be Crownshot taken out as Odo gets away. The heal keeps him up. Abadage steps forward with a flash shockwave for 3 quick kills for Schalke, and they peel for Baron.
Don't even try to kill Schalke. They're going to beat you every time, SK. That's the 3rd time we've seen SK overforce into Schalke, and the 3rd time Schalke have said, who cares? And they absolutely smash them, and now they're going to get a Baron.
That was phenomenal. Phenomenal from Schalke. Schalke came into this game on a 7-game winning streak. And that started after a defeat at the hands of SK. Right now, they're in prime position to make that 8 games in a row. With the Baron buff, it makes all that wave clear option significantly weaker. And just look at the initiation once the TPs come in.
Whoa! Look out for the book! It's a giant book! Oh my god!
But you see, Schalke don't read. They play games, and that's why they won the fight.
The Dreams just goes golden. Everything's stalled out. Gilius is on the flank. The teleports come through as well. Schalke absolutely smash SK. SK, I hope that wasn't your textbook on how to play League of Legends, because if you threw it into the enemy team, you're not going to be able to fix things for game 2.
Christy Ender Frierson, you have created a line, the pinnacle of Rivington Bislin III, as Trick is about to get killed here with the Rampage.
Well.
When the Olaf Butcher skin was released, Riv made a call that will forever be etched in my mind. When the undertow was chucked out, and he yelled, "Hit him with the meat!" And you just yelled, "Hit him with the book!" And I just heard you channel Riv as Gilius goes 3-0-3 amidst my little story. Instantly removing Trick from the game, and with Baron, going to take another tower. I mean, this has just been fantastic response from Schalke. Remember, they were the ones that were dealt the wild card, not even with the draft, but then the lane swap, and they went, we don't care, we can respond.
Yeah, they just sort of problem solved on the fly. They said, Odoame, get the hell out of top lane, come down, invade the jungle. Then they completely denied SK their plays around the bottom lane. And now we can say SK have good wave, they have the Ziggs, they have the Jinx, whatever. Schalke don't really care, because with how squishy SK are and how beefy Schalke are, they can just dive these towers.
All right, that's two people picking a fight with Odo. As soon as Gilius shows up, SK like, run away!
Oh no!
Yep, definitely do not want that fight. It's a siege on multiple fronts. Abadaga's down in the bottom lane. We've got, you know, 2 top, 2 mid. And it is kind of a testament to the expectations of this series and these teams' play styles that SK kind of played the wild card, it didn't connect, and Schalke showed diversity and versatility.
I mean, the thing is, we didn't expect Schalke or SK to have that wild card. We were expecting, you know, you draft team fight, you play objective-focused team fight game style, and that's how SK get their wins. They tried something different here, and now they're on their last leg trying to force fight on Odo.
All right, let's see what can happen here. Slice and dice. Gonna be pivotal to try and get away. That's one slice.
Yeah, but look at your base, guys.
Well, the base is being destroyed. They got themselves Odo. Mission secured. Nexus turret number 1 goes down. Nexus turret number 2 goes down.
Sorry, are you choking?
I actually did. I was going to grab a bottle of water just before the final push, but now Schalke are being pushed back somewhat. That's the flash engage here from Genax, but he doesn't have any support. Crown Shot's clearing minions while the rest of the team are trying to fight Schalke.
Oh, Zazie!
Beautiful shockwave. And the Nexus will be taken down. Schalke continue their win streak and take down SK in game 1 of our summer playoffs.
And just shutting down everything SK tried to do. The lane swap, they had an answer. It wasn't perfect, it was close, but after that, every single fight SK tried to throw Schalke's way, Schalke just played better. Even in fights where they were outnumbered, they still beat SK.
The one thing I do like about best of 5s is that game 1 is the game where you throw the haymaker.
Yep.
You try something that people didn't expect, and if it doesn't work, fine. You can go back to standard. And that's what I would anticipate SK to do in the next game.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a run back of the lane swap, although I don't think that was what cost them the game at the end. I do want to see a very different look in the draft phase for SK. I think top lane, the Volibear, absolutely useless, and the rest of the team needs to be a cohesive teamfight comp built around Crownie.
Well, let's see if they can do it. Schalke came out swinging in our first series. We'll get more playoffs action in just a few minutes.